Hello and a very warm welcome to my dearest students in today's class. In today's class, we are going to discuss in detail about tropical cyclones at the backdrop of the intensification of Cyclone Biparjoy. We are going to discuss every detail in a very descriptive manner. Before I begin, I would like to inform you about a live batch that we are starting from the 19th of June, and this is a prelims to interview batch. If you want a hand-holding one-on-one mentorship, course completion, study material, everything available to you for UPSC 2024, you can avail this course by using my code PDLIVE. Actual cost with everything integrated, not only test series, not only study material, but also a means residential program for those who qualify the prelims 2024. It will also be provided to you just at rupees 29,999. This will be available for those who are using the code PDLIVE. Alright, so let's move forward and talk about the roadmap. We all know that the cyclone Biparjoy has intensified, moving northwards. If we look at the trajectory is of course northwards in the Arabian Sea. A depression formed in the southeast Arabian Sea and now it is moving northwards. The coastal areas of India, specifically Kerala, Karnataka and Goa, are going to be impacted. So here we are going to talk about cyclones. What are cyclones? See, in very simple terms, cyclones are nothing but atmospheric disturbances. These atmospheric disturbances arise around a low pressure area. This low pressure develops in the oceans because of heat. When heat is generated in oceans, evaporation happens and a depression is created. The entire process or cyclogenesis will also be explained to you. And it is distinguished by swift and often destructive air circulation and accompanied by intense rain as well as bad weather. Remember that the air circulates inwards. In prelims it could be asked, it is outwards? No, it is inwards, towards the inside. It is in an anti-clock manner in the northern hemisphere because of the presence of Coriolis force. How that works, that will also be told to you, and clockwise in the southern hemisphere, if we have to say. The classification of cyclones are extratropical cyclones. These are also known as temperate cyclones. These happen or occur outside the tropics, and we have tropical cyclones that happens inside the tropics. The word cyclone comes from a Greek word, cyclos. It means like the coils of a snake. This was coined by Henry Paddington. When he saw the cyclone in the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, he said that it was like a coil of a snake. So hence cyclones. Now, the World Meteorological Organization use the term tropical cyclones for those weather systems which have exceeded the gale force. That means they should have a maximum speed of 34 knots or 63 km per hour. Alright, so these terms, these important information is important of course from the perspective of your preliminary examination. How do these occur, tropical cyclones? This is a genesis of not only the ocean but also the atmosphere. When these two interact together, the tropical cyclone is born. It is powered by the heat from the sea. As oceans are intense carbon sink, 90% of the oceans get heated because of the increase in climate system, weather system. Driven by easterly trade winds and temperate winds, so winds also have a lot to do with it, high planetary winds and also the fueling with their own energy. In India, these are classified on the basis of what are the strength of the associated wind which are carrying them, the storm surges and what kind of rainfall is occurring. Alright, so in India, how do they occur? You have to answer, you have to keep in mind all that. So tropical cyclones, actually cyclones occur all over the world. But as you can see, they are named differently. In the Bay of Bengal, we can call them cyclonic storm. In Australia, of course, cyclone. In the West Pacific Ocean, they are known as typhoons. In the East Pacific Ocean, they are known as hurricane, as well as in the West Atlantic Ocean, they are known as hurricane. So they have different name, but almost the same system. Now, as I told you that how do they get categorized based on speed? This is a severe cyclonic storm. If we talk about Biparjoy, it has the wind speed of 88 to 117 km per hour. If it goes on to more than 221 km per hour, it will become a super cyclone. Alright, moving on to the next portion. See, how do cyclone occur? How do these cyclone occur, specifically tropical cyclone? There are many factors which are responsible. Evaporation, cloud formation with the help of evaporation, what are the winds, the Coriolis effect, and the formation of the low pressure area. So when all these work together to give birth to cyclones, this is known as cyclogenesis. Let's explain you this with the help of a diagram. See, when there is too much heat in the atmosphere, water starts evaporating. When water starts evaporating upwards, there is a depression that gets formed in the ocean. Hence, the cold air starts going down. It ascends in order to fill that depression. The water that evaporated, when it went to a higher altitude, it gets in contact with the cold air masses, and thereafter it becomes clouds. Constantly, with the help of the evaporation and the downward movement of the cold air, this system gets its fuel because there is a constant exchange of air masses. When that happens, the cyclone or the air system starts going inwards, and as it is helped by the Coriolis effect in the northern hemisphere deflects the wind to its right. So that makes the Coriolis force to get in action, and the cyclone will move in an anti-clockwise direction. So this is the reason, and this is the entire system of cyclone formation. Also, winds in the northern hemisphere are deflected toward the right, that I have already told you. With this movement, with this help, the cyclones start gaining more energy. When they gain more energy, they become a proper cyclone. They form around the depression along the zone of the cold and warm air exchange. This is known as the eye wall, where the exchange is taking place. Here is the eye wall, and it is the most calmest part of the, not most calmest, but calmest part of the entire cyclone. And from this eye, this is the eye, there are different rain bands that are occurring. These rain bands in the entire cyclonic process have periods of intense rain and calm spells as well. Alright, now worldwide these tropical cyclones occur between 5 degree to 30 degree latitudes around the equator, because here the Coriolis force comes into effect. Cyclones generally do not occur between 0 to 5 degrees Celsius because of the negligible amount of Coriolis effect that is present there. Now the world is divided into 7 geographical tropical cyclone basins, and Western Pacific sees the most intense cyclonic activity. The North Indian Ocean is the least. Although it is the least, we have a huge magnitude of population that is present over here. That is why the most destruction happens over here. Now the North Indian Ocean, which is known as NIO Basin, comprises of Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, comprising of many countries that are impacted here: India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Thailand and Myanmar. And in rare cases, the countries from the Arabian Peninsula are also impacted. See how they are named. We have to understand what is the presence of regional stations with respect to cyclone. Then only we can understand how they are named. Every region has a regional specialized meteorological center who categorizes and does the nomenclature of the storm on the basis of two things: what is the wind speed and what is the intensity. Here in India, we have the Indian Meteorological Department, which is also one of the regional specialized meteorological center. Remember that. And it helps and advises the countries, 13 countries in the Indian Ocean region, to name the cyclones. And it monitors all the tropical cyclones between 100 degree east and 45 degree east longitude. And it is assigned a 7-level. It assigns a 7-level categorization for cyclones based on wind speed, which I have already told you back there. North Atlantic and Northeastern Pacific Ocean, here hurricanes occur. And these are based on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, which is the classification unit. And here it is category 1 to category 5 in the increasing order of the intensity of wind speed. See, Earlier, the nomenclature was based on the places that were affected, the ships that were caught and got sunk, and sometimes the saints as well, before 1900s. After that, you see, ships are generally named after female names, and male names were also introduced in the 1970s, late 1970s. As I told you, that IMD also takes care of the names and helps 13 countries of the Indian Ocean region to name the cyclones. I've covered this yesterday in my daily current affairs. If I'm saying 13 countries, and if you have attended that class, you will understand which 13 countries I am talking about. Go and watch it if you haven't. It serves as an advisory body to 13 countries to name the cyclones which are in the NIO basin. And as for the first time ever when the cyclones were named, the list was provided in 2004. Since then, we started naming the cyclones. So the names got exhausted. Again, another list of names are there for future cyclones. 160 names have already been given. Biparjoy is given by Bangladesh. Alright. Now, names should be politically and culturally neutral. This is one of the criteria. Shouldn't be rude, offensive, and hurtful. It should consist of a maximum number of 8 letters. Like Biparjoy has 8 letters, Tokte had 8 letters, like that. Now, what is the period in which India witnesses cyclones? 2 periods, pre-monsoon and post-monsoon. Pre-monsoon from April to June, post-monsoon from October to December. Very few cyclones are there that occur in March. But we had Cyclone Asani in March 2022. See, on an average, 5 to 6 tropical cyclones occur in the Indian Ocean region. 4 to 5 generally occur in the Bay of Bengal and 1 to 2 over Arabian Sea. But now, Arabian Sea is getting more intensified cyclonic activities. In the last 130 years of documented cyclones, when we started documenting cyclones, only about 8 were there which occurred in the North Indian Ocean in March. Alright. Skymet Weather has predicted that the cyclone Biparjoy is going to disturb the upcoming monsoon. The entry will be there, but it would be meek and mild. And also it doesn't mean that the amount of rainfall will be less. The period might get shorter, and that could create a problem for agriculture sector because agriculture is highly dependent on monsoon. If there is also the absence of monsoon for a longer period, shorter growing season and reduce produce for farmers will be a problem. Now, see, the frequency is increasing as we see the number of cyclones and their intensification has increased. There has been an increase in the North Indian Ocean specifically. For Arabian Sea, we can say that historically Arabian Sea saw the formation of an average of 1 to 2 cyclones per season. But this has now increased to 52%. However, for the Bay of Bengal, it has reduced by 8% and there is also a decrease in intensity of the Bay of Bengal cyclones. The 2019 season was actually classified as one of the most active cyclone season, as a third costliest season in terms of damage. The North Indian Ocean Basin saw its first super cyclonic storm in over a decade, and of the 8 cyclones that occurred, 5 alone were there in the Arabian Sea because the temperature in the Arabian Sea is increasing. In 2020-2021, rapid intensification, that means within a short period of time, the cyclones could gather more and more speed. This occurred in these 2 years. 2020 was the costliest season on record, where super cyclonic storm Amphan occurred over the Bay of Bengal. It is the strongest for Bay of Bengal since 1999. And the 2021 season saw a relatively uncommon phenomenon where the remnants means the left out part of cyclonic storm Gulab in the Bay of Bengal gave rise to a severe cyclonic storm Shaheen on the opposite coast, that is the Arabian Sea. Now, extremely severe cyclonic storm, that is Tokte, which had a record of intensifying in 2 days. It broke the Gujarat state's record for the strongest cyclone since 1998. Alright, so all these kind of important information I will provide you in the PDF. You join my channel Pooja Dwivedi, StudyIQ UPSC, but you will not understand it if you do not attend the class. So do attend the class first, then look at the PDF for revision. Okay. Now, of all the global subbasins that we have for cyclones, the Arabian Sea is one of the fastest warming subbasin. Here the sea surface temperature is rising as compared to the earlier decades. Global temperature is predicted to rise by 1.5 degrees Celsius in the upcoming decades, and it could lead to very severe or worse cyclones, because the fuel for these cyclones will be generated with respect to ocean heat. Increased rainfall, higher storm surges, winds, these will play a part. See, proportion of severe cyclone of the total occurring increased by 5% every decade. If we increase the temperature by 2 degrees Celsius by the year 2100, then there will be a 5% increase in the maximum cyclonic wind speed as well. That means more damage. And the problem is, in the Bay of Bengal, we generally have the most of the cyclones. The policies which are formulated are for those regions only. We need more policies for the Arabian Sea, because there are many coastal areas which are severely impacted by cyclonic storm. The National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project was approved by the government in 2015, keeping the changing nature of the cyclones in the Indian Ocean. It is implemented in phases to fortify the earlier warning and mitigation system. Although we cannot control the climate change at an immediate level, we will do it at a phased manner. But right now we can just warn the people who are living there and try to mitigate the problem. So I hope you understood this topic. Please join my Telegram channel for the PDF of this. It's Pooja Dwivedi StudyIQ. Thank you.